Welcome to T News 9 channel, where we bring your favorite stories to life. Today, we're diving into Chapter 6 of My Wife is a Gangster, titled The Man from Tokyo. Power doesn't always arrive with a bang. Sometimes it just knocks quietly on your door. An invitation arrived on a simple piece of white paper. No fancy seal, no threatening words. Just one name, Tokyo. The moment she read it, a hush fell over the room. One of the elders leaned in and whispered, "He's old money. He's polite, careful, and deadly." She calmly folded the letter. "He wants to meet," she announced. "Then we'll let him." The meeting was set at an expensive, private restaurant. The kind of place where silence is on the menu. As we entered, he stood up. He was tall, impeccably dressed, and had a smile that could charm anyone. A perfect gentleman. He bowed deeply, but only to her. "Your reputation precedes you," he said in a soft, smooth voice. "It shines even brighter than your father's." She returned the bow with equal grace. Then his attention shifted to me, and that perfect smile changed. It was subtle, but it was there. The kind of smile you give an enemy who doesn't realize they're in danger yet. "So this is the husband," he said, his voice laced with condescension. I must say, I expected someone stronger. I felt the weight of his words, the pressure of his test. I held his gaze and replied calmly, "She doesn't need me to be strong." The silence in the room was thick enough to cut. Then he let out a short laugh. "Well said," he conceded. But his eyes remained cold as ice. Throughout dinner, he spoke of peace, cooperation, and balance. Every word was a polite suggestion, but every sentence was a veiled threat. Before he left, he leaned close to her, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "Queens don't survive long without powerful allies." She met his gaze with a sweet, disarming smile. "And neither do men who underestimate them." He paused for a moment, then gave a slight nod. As he walked away, she turned to me and whispered, "He's not here to negotiate." I was confused. "Then why did he come?" I asked. She looked towards the door where he had just disappeared. "To measure how much blood this war is going to cost." And in that moment, I knew. The real enemy had just made his first move on the board. Chapter 7 of My Wife is a Gangster, titled The Marriage Tested. That night, she didn't come to bed. I found her in the study, the lights were off, and the city lights were glowing behind the glass. She was holding a gun. She wasn't cleaning it, not aiming it at anything. She was just holding it. Her voice, when she spoke, was too steady. "I need to ask you something," she said. "You can leave." At first, I laughed. I honestly thought she was joking. But she wasn't. "This war will be ugly," she continued, her gaze fixed on the city below. "They won't stop at threats anymore. They'll use you." I stepped closer to her, closing the distance between us. "So what?" I said, my voice soft but firm. "I already know that." Finally, she turned to look at me. For the first time, her eyes weren't cold or calculating. They were afraid. "If you stay," she said quietly, her voice barely a whisper, "I might not be able to protect you." That one sentence hurt more than any threat from her enemies ever could. "You don't have to protect me," I answered, my heart aching for her. "You just have to let me stay." She shook her head, a flicker of despair in her eyes. "I didn't choose this life for you," gently. I took the gun from her hands and set it down on the desk, creating a space between us and the violence she lived with. "But you chose me," I said, looking directly into her fearful eyes. "And I chose you back." Silence filled the room, heavy and thick with unspoken emotions. Then, just for a second, her strong composure cracked. She stepped forward, pressing her forehead against mine, and whispered, "I'm scared." I wrapped my arms around her, holding her tight. "So am I," I admitted, my voice muffled in her hair. "But I'm not leaving." She closed her eyes, leaning into my embrace. That night, no orders were given. No strategic plans were made. It was just the two of us, holding each other against the world, knowing that the real war, the one raging in her heart, was far more important than any battle on the streets. 8th chapter of My Wife is a Gangster, titled Blood on White Snow. Snow makes everything quiet, a little too quiet. Imagine this. You're driving through a deserted mountain road. There are no other cars, no signals, just an endless stretch of pure white snow ahead. My wife, the woman I thought I knew, sits beside me. Her eyes are fixed on the road, perfectly calm, intensely focused. Suddenly, her voice cuts through the silence. "This route is wrong," she says, and in that instant, the world just explodes. Gunfire rips through the stillness. The windows of our car shatter into a million pieces. Glass flies everywhere. The car spins wildly out of control, finally crashing hard into a snowbank. My guards are shouting, returning fire. The sounds of battle echo through the mountains, and then, just as quickly as it started, silence. A deafening, chilling silence. She moves first. With incredible speed, she pulls me down, shielding my head with her body. "Don't look," she orders, her voice firm. But I can't help it. I have to see. Through the broken windows, I see men in dark coats falling, one by one, against the pristine white snow. Their blood spreads slowly, a shocking, bright red stain on the landscape. She gets up. She isn't rushing. She's not panicking. She's in command. Her orders are sharp, short, and deadly. A man charges at her, a weapon in his hand. She doesn't even flinch. A single, precise shot rings out. He drops. The snow seems to swallow the sound. Minutes feel like an eternity. Then, it's over. The attackers are scattered across the ground like broken shadows. The beautiful white road is no longer white. She walks back to me, her composure unwavering. She checks my hands, my face, searching for any injury. It's only then that I notice her breathing is unsteady, just for a moment. "I told you to stay behind me," she says softly, the words more of a plea than a command. I nodded. She pulled me into her arms right there in the blood-stained snow. Helicopters arrived. Lights cut through the dark. As we lifted off, I looked down. The mountains were silent again. Beautiful, unbothered. She leaned close and whispered, "This is the cost." And I understood. In her world, peace is written in blood. Chapter 9 of the novel, My Wife is a Gangster, titled The Cost of Power. Victory doesn't feel like winning. It feels like silence. After the ambush, no one celebrated. There were no drinks, no laughter, only the cold, hard facts of reports. Names were crossed out, territory secured, and threats eliminated. On paper, my wife, the leader, had won a decisive victory. But in reality, she was losing something far more precious. That night, she stood alone on the balcony, the city lights shimmering below her like a sea of distant stars. The wind was sharp, cutting through the cold air. I walked up behind her and asked, "Did we stop them?" She nodded, her gaze fixed on the horizon. "Yes," she said, her voice quiet but firm. Then she added, "For now." The temporary nature of their peace hung in the air between us. Later inside, a young guard knelt before her. His hands were shaking, a clear sign of his fear. He had hesitated during the ambush, just for a second. But in their world, a second is an eternity. That single moment of hesitation had cost another man his life. She listened to his stammered explanation in complete silence, her face unreadable. When he finished, she spoke, her words precise and unwavering. "Remove him from duty." The guard looked up, a wave of relief washing over his face. He thought he was spared. Then she finished the sentence. Forever, the room froze. A chilling stillness fell over everyone present. I wanted to say something, anything to break the tension, to argue for mercy. But I didn't, because when I looked into her eyes, I didn't see cruelty. I saw an exhaustion so deep it seemed to pull her down from the inside. Later that night, I found her at the sink, washing her hands over and over. Far too long. As if she believed the phantom stains of blood could be scrubbed away with enough soap and water. "I remember everyone I've lost," she said quietly, her voice barely a whisper. "Their faces. They don't leave me." I stepped closer, wanting to ease her burden. "You don't have to carry it all alone." She slowly shook her head, not looking at me. "If I don't carry it," she said, "who will?" She rested her head on my shoulder. For the first time since the war began, she felt heavy. Not powerful. Not feared. Just human. And I understood the truth no one talks about. Power doesn't only demand blood. It demands pieces of your soul. Chapter 10 of My Wife is a Gangster, titled, When Love is a Liability. The offer arrived at dawn. It was a simple message, stripped of all threats and insults. Just cold, hard terms. Her throne, her entire empire, for my life. She read the message twice, a small, almost gentle laugh escaping her lips. "They think I'd hesitate," she said, her voice soft. But she didn't delete it. She kept it open on her screen, and that's what truly terrified me. All morning, she was a statue of silence. She gave no orders, canceled no meetings. She just watched me. She watched the way I drank my coffee, the way I tied my shoes. She watched the simple act of me existing in her world. Finally, the silence broke. Her voice was quiet, almost a whisper. "If you disappear," she asked, "would the world forgive me?" I froze, the air growing thick around us. "That's not a real question," I managed to say, my own voice tight. She looked away, her gaze lost somewhere beyond the window. "They're not wrong," she whispered, the words barely audible. "You are my weakness." That one word weakness hit me harder than any bullet ever could. I stepped closer, closing the distance between us until I could feel the tension radiating from her. "And you," I said, my voice firm, "are mine." A heavy silence filled the room, thick with unspoken fears and impossible choices. That night, she locked herself in her office. I stood outside the door, listening. I heard nothing. No shouting, no breaking glass. Just an unnerving, profound quiet that stretched for hours. When the door finally opened, her eyes were red-rimmed and weary. She didn't say a word about her decision. Instead, she just took my hand, her grip so tight it felt like she was trying to memorize its shape, to burn the feeling of it into her memory forever. Outside, the city slept peacefully, completely unaware of the war raging inside that room. Unaware that somewhere in the dark, a queen was being forced to choose between her power and her love. What will she decide? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more chapters from T News 9.